Hello, all you watchers of internet videos. How are you? I have several of my finest memories of the year to share with you on this day, the 30th day of December, 2023. Before I get into those memories, I just want to say 2023 was the greatest year of my life. So many great things happened to me this year that I will be lucky to experience another that's even half as good as this one has been. And since this year was the year that I learned to enjoy running, I figure what better way to reflect on it than to run around Minneapolis and visit all those places that meant something to me. And so, before I explain the route, I'm going to jump over to the computer and show you what it looks like. Okay, I've got the route pulled up on Google Maps. And so to start, I'm going to visit the places that were important in the second half of the year, that being church, work, and then the Stone Arch Bridge. I'll go across the Stone Arch Bridge and run to the university campus, stopping by the Gopher football stadium along the way. Visit the old apartment building that I lived in for the college years. And then go back through the university campus. I mean, this was the year I graduated from there, so I better visit there. Go to my favorite views on campus, across the river, and then back downtown, stopping by US Bank Stadium and the light rail stop next to my apartment. And then back home. This is about a 7-mile run. Never ran this far in one go before, but I have ran 6.22 miles to 10K. And so I think I should be all right, especially with all the stops along the way for recording a memory. So I'm going to warm up and then head out.
The first place I visited on my run was St. Olaf Catholic Church. I wanted to take a video of it while I was over there, but there was a bunch of people around and I got scared. So I decided to take a picture from the internet instead. And as you can see, my office is in the background. That'll be in the next clip. So I did actually go by there. This was the year that I returned to church after skipping for several years. And it's really made me a much happier person. It's made me a better person. And I really recommend everybody give it a try if you haven't, or go back if it's been a while. It's amazing what it's done for me so far, and it's a really peaceful way to start your week. Over here at SPS Tower, where I work, memory I want to share is right here. This hole in the concrete. Mike at work. We had finished a big project of decommissioning an application, and to celebrate, we threw a shot glass down. Well, he did, and it shattered the concrete a little bit. Pretty cool. My next stop was the Stone Arch Bridge. I never really visited here until a few weeks ago when someone in the Bible study group recommended it to me. And I gotta say, the view of the Minneapolis skyline from here is awesome. This video does not do it justice. It's something you should all seek out on your own and take a look for yourself with your own eyes. It's really pretty, especially at night. And you got the flowing Mississippi River underneath. It's a place that I've loved visiting the couple times I have this year, and I intend to visit several more times before they close it for a couple years, starting next spring. And for an update on the run, after I crossed the bridge, I had traveled about 3 kilometers and I had been going for just over 19 minutes. Now this is around the pace I like for a 5K, which meant that I was going way too fast because I didn't know exactly how much was done at the time, but looking back, this was a fourth of the way done. I was going too fast and I had to slow down. And as you'll see in the future clips here, I ended up having to walk for a good portion of it. Right here at this intersection, we have an on-ramp to I-35 South. And most of the times when my parents would pick me up from college, this is the way that they would take to get onto the interstate. This was the first time that I had seen it from the sidewalk instead of a car. My next stop was Huntington Bank Stadium. I had band here last semester of college, and whenever I would run, I would often run around this stadium because it's about 1 kilometer for each lap you do. I want to point out here that I hit 5 kilometers in 34 minutes and 45 seconds. If you remember the last clip, I actually went faster for the last couple kilometers after I noticed that I needed to go slower. And it was at this point that my ankle started to hurt a little bit, so I walked for a little while.
Well, I made it. 5.2 kilometers. And there's my old apartment building. My favorite memories from this year. Number one, so my roommates made my birthday special. Made me a bunch of waffles. Made a whole scene out of it. Then we drank apple juice out of bowls instead of cups because it was funnier. Another favorite memory in that room would have been watching Wrestlemania 39. Favorite wrestling show of all time. Primarily because I got to watch it with my best friends. And there's the garage door where I would go in after class most days. It's where I got the news that my parents and my family would not be able to make it to my graduation. So I got in a car accident. But it's also where I learned I had a great friend. He was able to spend the day with me when that happened.
Just want to point out a couple landmarks. There was Papa John's. We'd get some half-price coupons from the apartment building for that. Across the street, there's a new apartment building, I think, being built. And they made a lot of progress since I last saw it. And then up here is the sign, the University Village. Well, guess who covered up the microphone when they recorded the video? Well, anyways, this is McNamara Alumni Center. And out front, they've got this pond or fountain kind of deal. And during the winter, they drain the water since it would just be ice anyways. But I would pass by here almost every day on my commute to class. Now that I was over by Brunink's Hall, I took another look at downtown Minneapolis. You can see SPS Tower in the distance. It's got the pointy roof, the ziggurat on top. And seeing this every single day of class made it so much easier when I was suffering through some of my classes because I always had a clear goal that I could see in the distance. This bridge
Over the Mississippi River, connecting the East Bank and West Bank campuses, was my favorite part of campus. Obviously all the trees have thrown out their leaves, sent them to a better home. But when there are leaves on all of them, and they're all green, and the river's flowing, oh, it's beautiful. Also, there's a rumor that after the physics final, they send police officers onto this bridge to make sure nobody's jumping off and into the river because I failed one class. Forgot about the shoe tree. When you're done, you're supposed to throw the pair of shoes that got you through campus, through the 4 years, however long you had them. Just toss them up here. Seems kind of wasteful. I never did it myself. Love my shoes too much to keep them stuck up in a tree. I've just never seen this statue before. Right outside Wiley Hall on the west bank of the U of M campus. Very interesting.
The next place I stopped by was US Bank Stadium. I've never been in this building, but I hope that they'll put Wrestlemania here one day and I'll have an excuse to go inside because I don't watch football. I never really noticed how big this building was until I was up close, and it's amazing. I ended up running around most of it, I think, and towards the end of it, I hit 10 kilometers, and I felt a blister on my foot, so I was glad to see that the finish line was in sight. Shortly after running past the stadium, I ran into the Thrivent building. Now, Thrivent was the only other place I interviewed for an internship with, and they didn't want me. But SPS Commerce did. So it was nice to see that my commute is way better working at SPS Commerce than it would have been had I ended up at Thrivent. The last place I had to visit before going back home was the light rail stop near my apartment building. What's special about this is when I was moving across town earlier this year, I used the light rail to move a lot of things. I had this wagon that was meant for groceries, but this time I decided to load it up with small things and brought that onto the light rail across town, took it the 4 blocks down to my apartment building, brought it in and up the elevator, and there it was. And if you're wondering,
the best moment from my move across town has got to be when I brought the dresser on the light rail. I mean, take a look at this thing. I had to somehow move this giant dresser using the cart. And when I ended up getting it on there and finally getting on the light rail, I found out it was the same day as the Ed Sheeran concert. And so at the second stop, like 30 people got on. And all of my focus turned from, man, I might want to take a picture with this thing, to, I do not want this thing to fall on an Ed Sheeran fan. That would be my worst nightmare. And I couldn't even lift this thing on my own. I mean, at least at the time I couldn't. I've been going to the gym recently, so I could probably handle it. I mean, look at me. I mean, I could probably lift that, right? But anyways, I'll show you the video of after I got it into my apartment, and you can see just how tight of a squeeze it was and how I managed to get it onto that little cart. All right. Brought the dresser and the last couple things on the light rail all the way to my apartment. Look at how precarious this thing has been stacked. Only thing holding it is the bar on the handle. If this wasn't here, it would topple over in an instant. Incredible. All right, it's the next day, New Year's Eve. Finally got the energy to actually make a closing segment of the video. The total distance I went on the run was 12.65 kilometers. That's 7.86 miles for my American viewers. And I did that in a little over an hour and a half of moving time. Although I think if you add in the total time from start to finish, it was about an hour 45 minutes, right where my goal was. Now, there were a couple places that I missed on my run, and that was planned because if I were to visit them, I think it would have been closer to a half marathon. And there's no way I could handle that. I didn't believe it before the run, and I know it after the run. I mean, I got a blister less than 7 miles in. There's no way I could have handled an extra 4 or 5 miles onto whatever I had. And before I go, I just want to leave you with 3 pieces of advice that I've been thinking about recently. First one is to be thankful for what you have. I think it's very easy to get caught up in all the stuff you don't have, all the stuff you want to have, and all of the bad things in your life, that you forget to be thankful for all the things you do have. I mean, I always think about how lucky I am to be where I am today, living where I am, working where I am, and having all the stuff I've got. It's made me way happier. The second piece of advice I have, I'm going to steal from Ben from work. At our hackathon in July, he said to spend more time with your folks. I think a lot of the times that I visited my family in the past, I would just go there. It would be purely business. We got to celebrate some holiday, and that was it. After hearing that advice, I've tried to make it a mission to actually do something with my family, to make some new memory. Because I can talk with anybody I want, but I can't make my best memories without the people that I care about the most. And there's a lot of times where I don't get to spend time with those people. So try to make it more special when I do get that chance. And the last piece of advice I want to share is to just be yourself. I know it's cliche, but I think I've become a lot happier this year, partially because I've been more open about myself. I am a wrestling fan. I don't care if people say it's for children, because it's not. I watch wrestling not because my family watches it and it's just purely business. I watch it because it truly is the greatest thing on television today. I also shared some stuff that happened in my past with my best friends. Helped me deal with some of the stuff I was holding in. And at work, after a month or so of trying to hide some of it, I decided I was going to be a goofball at work too. One of the things I did this year was lead a Zoom meeting wearing a robe. Now, I was working from home that day. I'm not that much of a goofball to bring into the office yet. But yeah, it's been really great just saying I am who I am. You got to accept me for who I am. Not trying to be someone that I'm not. So I hope you will think about some of that advice as we go into the new year. And I look forward to whatever happens in 2024. See ya.